Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the videos. Another paid request, this time for Tomas. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested, requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the 2006 film The Departed. Now, it's a remake of a film called Infernal Affairs, which I think that had a trilogy of movies, I believe. And never seen those, so I don't know how similar or different it is from either version. It's a 2.5-hour movie directed by Martin Scorsese, who I liked as a director. I do think he's a very solid director. Really enjoyed Goodfellas. Really enjoyed The Wolf of Wall Street. Cape Fear. Let's see. Taxi Driver. I actually liked After Hours. So Scorsese, very capable director, as most people would say. You got Leonardo DiCaprio, you got Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Anthony Anderson is even in the film, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, Alec Baldwin. Takes place in Boston. You have a pretty good soundtrack. You got songs like Gimme Shelter. I think the big song is I'm Shipping Up to Boston. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You also got Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. So you have a pretty stellar soundtrack. The acting, I don't think Mark Wahlberg deserved an Oscar or Oscar nomination, whichever he got. I mean, it's pretty much Mark Wahlberg being starky and cussing, and I just don't see Oscar caliber performance compared to the other people involved. But again, with me and Mark Wahlberg, that's the funny thing about Mark Wahlberg. He's done films I like. The Big Hit, The Italian Job, this one, even Painting Game. It's just something about him and his attitude. There's a lot of times I just go, even if I don't mind his performance, I still sit there and go, can it be someone else? Is that just because the Marky Mark did the Funky Bunch? I don't know, just something about him. Or maybe because see that everywhere I turn, there's Mark Wahlberg in another damn movie. At least it was there for a bit. Anyway, Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon, both actors I do enjoy. DiCaprio, I thought he was great in Inception, The Wolf of Wall Street, among many others. Critters 3. And Matt Damon I enjoyed in Good Will Hunting. The Martian I thought was a nice surprise. There are two guys who become police officers, but Matt Damon is working for Jack Nicholson, who's a mob guy, while Leonardo DiCaprio is working undercover. So Damon, they're both cops, but DiCaprio's undercover, pretend to be one of the criminals with Nicholson, while Matt Damon is a cop who really is one of the criminals with. So they're both undercover in different ways. One's undercover with the criminals, one's undercover with the cops. Leo's the good guy, Matt Damon's the bad guy. Now, it was great to see Jack Nicholson in the film, working with Scorsese, and he's having a ball as a mob guy. I mean, for the beginning, where he sees a young Matt Damon, he's buying him stuff. He even buys him a Wolverine comic book. Saying lines like, cops, criminals, when you face a loaded gun, what's the difference? Or later on, him and, I believe it's Ray Winstone, his name, they shoot a person, and the person they shoot is a lady. As she falls down, Jack goes, she fell funny. And just these little quirks that just make him not a typical mob boss guy. There's the scene where he has later Leonardo DiCaprio, very intense scene, where he's looking for a rat. He's like, doing his little impression, and then he pulls out a gun, and you just see the fear in Leo's eyes. And apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently Leonardo DiCaprio did not know that Jack was gonna pull out a gun. Because the thing is with movies, you show people the gun, you gotta show people that it's not loaded. That's supposed to be the protocol. Unless that stupid fucking movie Rust with that idiot who was working on it and she didn't know what she was doing. But you're supposed to, hey, look, this is the gun. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in the chamber. So that's what you see a real fear in Leo's eyes. The dialogue, some people have mentioned this. It does feel like trying to be a little bit more Tarantino-esque in terms of the vocabulary used and the way people curse, things of that nature. I can see a little bit what they mean. And I don't know if it needs to be 2.5 hours long. Like I said, I don't know how that is with the Infernal Affairs trilogy. And the fact that that's a trilogy, I'm like, I wonder how that's a trilogy. When I look at this film and I see, well, that'll be a spoiler. But yeah, throughout the film, like, Leo is pretty much told by Martin Sheen and Mark Wahlberg, you can't be a cop, but you know what? Your family had some connections with the mob that could work for us. While Matt Damon's working with Alec Baldwin, he's rising the ranks from cop to detective, but yet he's on the payroll with John Nicholson's character. And at one point, it's something to do with these microprocessor chips. Like, the whole thing with the psychiatrist was there, but at the same time, it's pretty much this conundrum of she's going out with Matt Damon's character, but as a psychiatrist, she's seeing Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and even has an affair with DiCaprio. And later, they get to the point where he gives her information in case something happens to me, and then she opens up something else and comes to find out who Matt Damon really is. But then nothing really comes of that. She pretty much just leaves. And I don't know, it felt like an arbitrary subplot that wasn't interesting to me. I think if you took that out, I don't think it really made any detriment to it. I think it would have improved on the pacing. It felt as if it was put in there because we needed some kind of either love interest or we needed some kind of, I don't know, some kind of, maybe not so much of a sausage fest. I don't know. Like I said, John Nicholson's having a lot of fun as the mob guy. DiCaprio and Matt Damon, they do a good job in their roles. There's, like I said, there's some standout scenes. Like I said, the Nicholson and DiCaprio scene that I was talking about. There's also a nice bit where after someone dies, Matt Damon gets his phone and he calls to try to find out who the undercover guy is. So Leo looks at the phone and they both answer it. And I like the way Scorsese staged it. He like stages, they're almost in the same frame, almost in the same spot, because with a slight edge, they are in the same spot in terms of they both have a lot of intensity to them. They're both in such a tense situation, just on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of crook and cop. But it's just the silent communication, the silent phone call, kind of waiting for who's going to talk first, who's going to drop the ball first, and this bit of a waiting game. I like that scene. I thought that was nicely done and executed. Mark Wahlberg, I thought he was trying a bit too hard and being tough, and the type of dialogue he was showcasing, and being this smarmy, smart Alec guy that, is he like anywhere else he would get just fucking fired for acting this way? He acted like a douche bro guy in college trying to do a haze party on a fraternity. Like, of the people, he didn't seem like a real cop to me. He seemed like, again, if this was an Animal House ripoff, he'd be the fucking bad guy. Just really didn't care for him, didn't care for his character. Especially compared to the other people, just him, I thought, pushed it a bit much. Anthony Anderson, they bring up his character in the Academy with Leonardo DiCaprio, which they're both running, and he says something, and then Leo says, "Hey, you're a black guy in Boston. You don't need my help to get completely fucked." But then he only pops up like once or twice, and then you don't see him till the very end. And it just felt like something that wasn't really built up much after that in a consistent rate, where I really felt his presence. It's kind of like he's only there in the beginning, understandably so, to set up at the very end, where Leo looks at him and goes, "You know me, you know me." Well, Anthony Anderson has a gun on him, but nothing really culminates because of that. Because, spoiler alert, which I know is a very shocking moment, I will admit, Leo's with Damon in an elevator. It opens up, and Leo gets shot in the head. Because Damon's not the only guy working for Jack Nicholson. It was this other guy. Then Anthony Anderson comes in, and like, okay, maybe he will help in terms of he knew who Leo was at the Academy. He'll listen to Damon, but at the same time he knows something's up, and he'll look into him, maybe develop his character more. No, he just shot and killed as well. Just that. Then everything's fine, then Damon shoots that guy. Then there's a funeral, then Matt Damon comes home, and then there's Mark Wahlberg, then Damon gets shot and killed. I know people love that ending, and people love the way that turned out. I don't know, for me, it just wasn't my cup of tea. That's why I don't know how the Infernal Affairs trilogy works out, because if it's a trilogy, is that stuff that happens in the third movie, or does it happen in the first movie, and then you just get pretty much all different characters in the second film? Because that means none of them would have survived in the first film, or what the deal was. So, for those who've seen the original Infernal Affairs, you can let me know what's different, what's the same in comparing the two. I don't have much issues with the filmmaking. Scorsese knows what he's doing. I don't have much issues with the song choices. A lot of nice ones in that. I guess some of the way scenes are set up. The little montage with Leo's with the group, and they're doing all these little jobs, like blowing up cars, or him watching Winstone shoot this guy, and he's staring there, and you can feel the sort of frustration, intense paranoia that he keeps having to see this stuff, and he can't, as he puts it, you sit there with a mass murderer, your heart rate is jacked, but my hand does not shake, ever. And the ending, I just didn't feel, just wasn't satisfying for me of an ending. In comparison, if I looked at Michael Mann's Heat, and that's just taste. Just all a matter of taste. That's why I like The Departed in terms of, again, filmmaking, in terms of acting, and so forth. But it's not one I rewatch much. It's not one I put high on my list. I did more of just a personal taste factor. Just look at Michael Mann's Heat, and this build up between this great cast and cop and crook. But that finale is satisfying to me, to say one last time, on a personal taste. Stalking through the ground where the airport's nearby, and seeing the shadow, and Al Pacino just little bit exchange, the Moby song, God moving over the water. That's more my kind of ending in terms of this epic crime drama type of movie. Or even Goodfellas, where there's a sense of humor, where Ray Liotta, despite what happened to other people, his worst fate is being a suburbanite. So that it's funny in a weird way, serendipitous in a weird way. So again, but yeah, that I know a lot of people won't agree with that. I always thought it was kind of weird from Matt Damon's character, like he's being so secretive about all this stuff. But this essential envelope, he just lies willy nilly on the desk for Leonardo DiCaprio to just look over and see and know for sure that Matt Damon's the bad guy. I'm sitting there going, why would the guy keep it there? Why would he not have destroyed it already? Why would he not have done this and done that? It just, I did it. Maybe if they show, I'm trying to remember if they show where, I know they showed him putting it down at one point, but it's like he's going to do something, but then something happens and something happens, and to maybe hammer home a bit more as like he keeps forgetting and things went topsy-turvy, and maybe it's like a bit where he's frustrated and angry, and maybe the camera then pulls back to the envelope. You go, oh shit, he wasn't thinking. Maybe, hey, you don't have to do that. That's more inferred, but it felt like, I just felt like, okay, well, we gotta have some way for him to know Matt Damon's the bad guy. So do it that way. I mean, it's not as violent in terms of if you compare it to Taxi Driver or other movies, but there's definitely some violence in this. There's some bits early on where Leonardo DiCaprio beats the shit out of people to get in with Nicholson's group. There's two guys are crossing an owner of a store, and Leo beats the shit out of both of them. Or there's a bit at a bar where a guy making fun of him for good cranberry juice and period, are you on your period, and Leo takes the thing, smashes on the guy's head to beat the shit out of him. Of course, some bits in the finale where people are dying there. So like the finale gets some definite violent bits. Like I said, I don't know if it needed to be 2.5 hours long. It did feel a bit long in the tooth from my end, which I didn't feel. I didn't feel that way with Heat and other movies, but this one I did. Yeah, I didn't feel that way with Goodfellas. I don't think I did, and like I said, at the least, Leonardo DiCaprio, John Nicholson, and Matt Damon. This is, you got a pretty damn good cast to hold this stuff together. So if you like Scorsese and other stuff, it's definitely worth a look for at the very least those factors. Like I say, it's not a film I love, but it is a fairly well-made movie. Although Mark Wahlberg, no, I don't think he deserved Oscar recognition. I really don't. Compared to all the other actors and performances that I've seen, I mean, fun. I mean, he might as well got an Oscar nomination for the other guys if that's the case. If it didn't one for this, it's pretty much Mark Wahlberg being Mark Wahlberg with just a few more cusses. Anyway, so with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.